Okay. So today's I am going to describe about something about data collection and data. So what is data? The data is the information collected on a specific characteristic of each subjects or groups which are related to the study is known as data. If you consider that you want to take the data on the age of persons, then the age of the persons will be data for yourself, and the other characteristics like income and year of schooling will not be data for that. So the relevant information which is required is called as data, and irrelevant information if collected is not data. The data is the relevant information which satisfy the scope of or objective of the study is called as data. So how data is collected? There are two different methods for the collecting the data. One is called as complete enumeration and other is called as sample survey. The in complete enumeration we conduct survey over the whole complete population, or we can say over whole of the population. No individual in the population will remain unattended. It is also called as census. Whereas in sample survey, as due to cost and limitation of time, complete enumeration is not possible at each point of the time. Therefore, we select a part of the population and conduct the survey over it. It is called as sample survey. The part of population is called as sample. The sample should be the good representative of the population. The sample can be obtained by using different methods which will be discussed later. Now, what are the steps in the sample survey? The first step is defining the objective. That is, we have to define clearly what is the objective and why we are going to perform the sample survey. If objective is not defined clearly, then we cannot perform sample survey. Next step is defining the population. So where over which population we are going to conduct our survey, we must have to be decided. The population is aggregate, or you can say collection, from which sample is to be taken. That is collection of all the individuals over which sample is to be taken is called as population. Population can be divided further into two categories. One is called as target population and other is called as sampled population. Target population is the population about which decision is to be taken. You can say the population of India. That is, we have to conduct survey for India, then the complete list of the individuals, all the individuals in India will be called as target population. And sampled population is the part of target population from which sample is to be taken. Due to limitation of time and cost and some other things, we cannot reach on some places which are excluded from the target population. For example, which are very high from the sea level, or in very difficult areas like forest or other places, the person living, we cannot obtain data. So in that case, that parts of the country will be excluded. So remaining part will be called as sampled population. Both population may be coincide, but for convenience, sampled population is more restricted than the target population. Third step, data is to be collected. So what is relevant information? What information is relevant to our study must be decided. That is, on which points we have to taken the data. Sometimes we can collect a very large amount of data, but which is not relevant to our study, then we that is worth of time and waste of money and so on. So we need to collect the data on certain specific points which are related to our study. Now, next step, defining the population. The pop Sorry, that step is already considered in step 2. The next step is method of measurements. Now, by using which method we are going to collect the data is called as methods of measurement. We can use scale for height or weighing machine for weight or any other tool, but generally the questionnaires are used for collecting the data. Along with these questionnaires, there are three different methods which are used to collect the data. One is called as telephonic interview, in which we make call to the individuals and ask whether they are agree to respond. If they agree, then we fill the questionnaire on the interview on the telephone. That means we ask the question on telephone and tick on in our questionnaire. That is called as telephonic interview, but it involves a very high cost. Whereas second method is questionnaire, called as questionnaire method, in which we construct a questionnaire and mailed it to the respondent. We can send it by email or by post or any other method to the respondents and wait for some time for their responses. And in this, it is take as precaution that no one likes to send back if we they will not get any benefit from that. Therefore, we put an envelope containing the we put an envelope which is already paid by ourselves to get the response of the individual, so they can easily post them. But there is high chance of non response in questionnaire method. That means person will not respond for the questionnaire, therefore there is a high chance of error as well as losing the data. Therefore, third method is preferred, which is called a schedule method. In this, a meeting is scheduled with the respondent and questionnaire is filled during that meeting. If person is have some difficulty to understand the questions, then we can express also in the scheduled meeting that what we want to ask and what they can respond. That can be easily explained in the schedule method. So schedule method is preferred over questionnaire method or telephonic interview method. Now, next we define the sampling frame. Sampling frame is nothing but the complete list of the individuals in the population from which sample is to be selected. That is complete list of the individual in the sampled population. Without sampling frame, it is not possible to draw a sample which is a good representative of the population. Next step is selection of sample. From with the help of that sampling frame, we select the sample by using suitable sampling technique from which we obtain the good representative of the population. There are a number of techniques which are used for the samplings. Then next step is organizing the fieldwork. After the sample size is decided, sample is selected, then person go to the individual and collect the data by using questionnaire method or any schedule method or telephonic interview method. That is called as organization of the fieldwork. The survey is conducted with the help of trained person the purpose of for the purpose for under the guidance of experts. The complete fieldwork is organized under the guidance of the experts. Then, after organizing the fieldwork, data is summarized and analyzed with the help of some statistical techniques. Now, we come to the sampling. What is the sampling? Sample is the part of population which should be good representative of the population, and it is selected using some specified techniques. That techniques are called as sampling techniques. The sampling techniques can be divided into two categories. One is called as probability sampling and other is called as non-probability sampling. In probability sampling, the main sampling techniques which are considered are simple random sampling, stratified random sampling, cluster sampling, and systematic sampling. Whereas among non-probability sampling, the more considered sampling are convenience samplings, judgment sampling, and quota sampling. There are further more sampling techniques, but I am considering these seven in my lecture. So, what is simple random sampling? In simple random sampling, units are drawn randomly, unit by unit. That is, sample is selected unit by unit randomly. This randomly occur as we use some random method, that is, we can use throw of dice, we can use toss of coin, but if population is large, then we use the random number. The random number can be drawn by using different methods, that is by using table or by using any software. Generally preferable software is MS Excel. In MS Excel, we have a function which is called as rand. With the help of that function, we can draw random number. So you can see here, we can type equals to rand, then bracket open and close. We get a random number. If we want 30 random numbers, we can drag, select and drag it. We get 30 different random numbers. But in case population is not infinitely large, it is restricted to some count, then we have to select the random number between these two numbers, that is 1 and the last digit of the population size. In that situation, this formula is not useful. In this case, we use another formula which is called as rand between. Suppose we have a population of size 250, then we use formula rand between and right is 1 comma 250 within the bracket. It will give a number between 1 and 250. If we want to sample of size 30, then again same process. It will give 30 random numbers between 1 and 250. But there is a problem. If we apply any formula or something else, then these random numbers change. So random number remain steady. We copy it and paste as values. Then whatever we do, these pasted random numbers will never change. So using this method, we can draw random number, and in sample simple random sampling, there are two further methods called as simple random sampling with replacement and simple random sampling without replacement. If a unit already selected in the sample is again put into the population for the selection of next unit, then it is called as simple random sampling without replacement. That means a unit can be selected in the sample a number of times. Whereas in simple random sampling without replacement, a unit can be selected only once. That is, if a unit is selected from the population into the sample, then it will not replaced in the population again. It will be put aside, and the sample is next unit is drawn in the remaining units. If we have population size capital N, then in first selection we take a unit from these n units. Then in second stage, we select a unit from remaining n minus 1 units in simple random sampling without replacement. Whereas in simple random sampling with replacement, the pop size will remain constant, that at each step we select the unit from n individuals. Here You can see it is a list of individuals from which we select some individuals, which is called as random sample. This sample is selected unit by unit. The next sampling technique is stratified sampling. In stratified sampling, population is divided into a number of groups called as strata. These strata must be homogeneous within and heterogeneous between. Their heterogeneity between two strata is not considered, only homogeneity within the strata is considered. That means strata must be homogeneous within. There may not be too much variation within the strata. These homogeneous groups are called as strata. Then from each strata, a sample is selected with the help of simple random sampling without replacement. As without replacement is more efficient than simple random sampling with replacement. Therefore, simple random sampling without replacement is preferred for selecting the samples from each strata. The samples are selected in such a manner that the sum of size of all samples drawn from strata must be equal to or larger than the total sample size we want to consider. Here you can see it is the complete list of individuals which is divided into three strata. If our survey is related to the income or some spend expenditure, etc., then we can divide the list of individuals into three groups, which are called as strata. One is low income group, other is middle income group, and next one is high income group. From these strata, we select some from each strata we select some individuals. That is, from first strata, I have selected these individuals. From second strata, these individuals are selected, and from third income group, also some individuals are selected. There are three methods for selecting the individuals or decided the sample size from each strata. There are three methods are defined. One is called as equal allocation, that is size of the sample from each strata must be equal. Other is called as proportional allocation. In this situation, the sample size from the strata is directly proportional to the population size of the strata. That means if we consider three strata, size of one strata is 100, other is 200, and the next is 300. And we want to select a sample of size 120. Then from first strata, we select a sample of size 20. From second strata, we select a sample of size 40. And from third strata, we select a sample of size 60. And we add, then we get a complete sample of size 120. That is called as proportional allocation. Third is called as optimum allocation, or you can say it is called as Neyman allocation. In this, sample size from strata is directly proportional to the variation in the strata. That means strata size into standard deviation of the strata. That is, small nh is directly proportional to capital NH into capital SH. By using it, we can calculate the size of sample from each strata. Next sampling technique is called as cluster sampling. In this, we also divide the population into a number of groups like stratified sampling, but these groups should be heterogeneous within. In stratified sampling, the groups should be homogeneous within. In cluster sampling, groups must be heterogeneous within. That is the difference between the cluster sampling and stratified sampling. The groups which are heterogeneous within are called as cluster. And in cluster sampling, we can select one or two or more clusters in such a manner the size of the clusters selected, if we sorry, sum of the size of clusters selected should be greater than or equal to the size of the sample we require. Here, in place of individuals, the sampling units are clusters. That is, sampling is performed over clusters. That are, clusters are selected with the help of simple random sampling without replacement. and complete enumeration is performed over these clusters. That means data is collected over each and every individuals within the cluster. But sometimes it is not possible to perform the complete enumeration on these clusters also. In that case, we use subsampling, or we can say it is called as multi-stage sampling. That is, we divide the populations into different stages. That is, cluster at stage 1, then cluster at stage 2, then cluster at stage 2, and last stage will be the list individuals. That is, for example, if we consider the state of Uttar Pradesh, then state of Uttar Pradesh can be divided into different districts, which are 73 districts. Then these districts can be divided into two areas, or you can say rural and urban, or you can divide it into a number of villages for each district. From these villages we can go to next stage, we go to households, and from household we can select individuals. In one house there may be a number of individuals from which we can select one or two individuals. So that is called as multi-stage sampling, which is a further improvement over cluster sampling. Here you can see it is the map of state of Uttar Pradesh, and we want to select one cluster. There are 72 districts in Uttar Pradesh, so we select a random number between 1 and 72. In the list of, suppose it's that random numbers comes out to be 33, then the district at number 3 in the list of districts will be selected as the sample. The list I have considered at number 33, there was Hardoi district. So my sample is can be taken as Hardoi district, and the complete enumeration should be performed on Hardoi district. That is the example of cluster sampling. The next sampling technique is systematic sampling. In systematic sampling, sampling units are arranged into a number of groups such that the size of each group should be equal to the size of sample. If population size is capital N and sample size is small n, then population is arranged into group K groups such that K is equals to capital N upon small n. That is, the population size should be a multiple of sample size. That means we can write capital N is equals to K into small n. But sometimes this not happen. In this method, if population size is a multiple of sample size, then we arrange into K groups, and one group is selected at randomly within the sample. But if it is a not possible, that is population size is not a multiple of sample size, in that situation we select a number between 1 and small n. Then every kth individual is considered into the population, and this kth is repeated till the sample size is not fulfilled. That is, suppose we have selected random number 25 and k is approximately equal to 7, that is 6.9, or you can say 7.2. Then first fifth unit is selected, which was first random number, then 5 plus 7, that is 12th unit, then 12 plus 7, that is 19th unit. In such manner we go up to last unit, such that the sample is not fulfilled. If sample is not, suppose 750 units and sample is not fulfilled, then we, after 750, we again go to 1. That means, suppose a multiple of 17 is 680, then we add 17, that will become 697, and so on. We go to 750, it will be around 737 or 38 will be a multiple of 17. Then after that we go to first unit, that is 750, and first unit will become 751, second unit will become 752, and we go Repeat the sampling till sample size is not fulfilled. This is called as circular systematic sampling. Here it is an example. We have to select 100 units. Sorry, we have a population of 100 units and wants to select a sample of size 20. Then we arrange the population into 100 upon 20, that is 5 groups. Then select a random number between 1 and 5. Suppose it comes out to be 4. Then every fourth unit, that is 4 plus 5 9 plus 5 plus 9 14 plus 14 plus 5 19, and so on. Such units are selected. Up to 20 units are not selected. Now, but sometimes it is not possible to obtain sampling frame, that is the complete list of individuals. In that situation, we will go for non-probability sampling. First one, first non-probability sampling is convenience sampling. In convenience sampling, we try to approach the individuals which are easily available to us. Generally, it is preferred to conduct survey in our locality or our relatives to obtain the sample, as these are more convenient to us. That is our friend circle, our co-workers, our family, or the persons which are neighbor to us, that are easily available individuals, and survey will perform according to our convenience and objective of the study. Second non-probability sampling method is judgment sampling. It is also called as purposive sampling. In the same manner of convenience sampling, we approach to the individuals upon our depending upon our convenience. But there is a limitation that person should be related to the study. That means we ask the question that you are, suppose we want to conduct survey on the toothpaste and we want to compare the sale of Pepsodent and Colgate, then we include the persons only which are using Colgate or Pepsodent. The person using any other brand of toothpaste will not be included in our sample. That is the judgment sampling. That is, we set some criteria for selecting the individuals into the sample, but go to the individuals depending upon our convenience. So we go as per our convenience and not apply any random selection method. It is called as non-probability sampling. The third one is quota sampling. In this, same as this is similar to the stratified sampling, and we divide the population into a number of the strata, and from each strata we select a sample of some specified size, which is called as quota. That means from low income group we want to select a sample of size 20, then, and from other it is 40, from third it is 60, then it is the quota for from that strata, and sample is again collected by our convenient. That is, the person to whom we can approach easily is considered into the sampling. So it is about the today's lecture.